Everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another scrapbook process video. And I don't know if you noticed, but this scrapbook process video is 911. So how appropriate is it that, Nicole Jones 911 and I'm on my 911 scrapbook process video. So it's kind of awesome since the begin. I've been numbering my process videos since the very beginning, and I'm over 900. And more than likely, before the year is out, I will have 1,000 process video right here on YouTube. Now I have playlist that goes from 0 to 99 and then 100 to 199 and so on and so forth. So if you're new to my channel, you can go back and watch the videos right from the very beginning. But let's talk about this layout. Now this is a page kit that I had put together for the crop that I went to in October, and I didn't get to use the layout. Now it's kind of nice because I came home with 10 page kits, and it's made it so that I have page kits to work on in my scrap room. I checked the other day and I'm down to 2, so I'm going to have to make sure to finish some of these Project 100 and have some page kits for me to use in the near future. Now, I had a question on YouTube that I thought that I would address here today, and it went along the way, why are you, basically making a whole bunch of pages using scraps? Why aren't you using newer products? And you seem to be using a lot of older products, and I think that you would have better page kits, like better colors, if you use newer papers. And I don't buy a lot of scrapbooking supplies. The last time that I had bought scrapbooking supplies, short of last month where I started a new kit that I get every month from one of my local scrapbooking stores. And as soon as I bought that kit, I did use some new pattern papers from it. But I don't mind using my old stuff. I spent my hard-earned money on these papers. Like this, for example, this paper kit or this page kit that I have here, these are super old. I think maybe they're create paper, pattern papers, but they're really old. They're probably like 10 years old. And when I started playing with them, I was like, I really love these pattern papers. And it felt like new pattern papers for me because I've not used them before. So I really enjoyed using them. And also because, all my scrapbooking, I make page kits. And because of that, usually it's one page and done. And then I put the paper, whatever's left, away. And then I don't do any more pages with it. So I have literally, like I said, bags and bags and drawers full of these pattern papers that were not all used. And I feel bad, that I have all this pattern papers that are just sitting there. So by doing Project 100, I'm going to end up using a lot of those scraps. Now, does that mean that all year I'm not going to use any new pattern papers? Absolutely not. But I also I want to make sure that I don't neglect the pattern papers that have been sitting in my scrap room for a long time and that they do make it onto a layout. Another thing is that I love putting a page together using scraps. It's probably my favorite way to put a page together. Now, this page here was all full pattern papers, and it took me a minute. I was like, okay, I don't know how I want to cut these. I mean, it ended up working out right. I matted the photo with a brown, then that line pattern paper, then the flower pattern paper, and then I decided to make some banners. And I really like how the layout turned out. But when I first opened the page kit and I was looking at all those full sheets of pattern papers, I was feeling a little overwhelmed because I'm so used to scrapping with scraps lately. Because even though I made it official this year that I was going to try to get through my scraps in 2021, it was actually something that at the end of the year last year, from October on, that I looked at, where I keep all my scraps, and I was like, oh my Lanta, I have way too many scraps and I need to use them. And I didn't want to do what I ended up doing in 2015 or 16 when I was packing to come into my new house. I just threw out all my scraps because I just couldn't even handle having to move all those scraps. I want to make sure that I use them because when I started working with, that sheet of pattern paper to make that one layout, I love that pattern paper. So the more layouts that I can do with some pattern papers, the better that the better value that I'm giving to each of those sheets of pattern paper. Now, like I said, I joined a Kit Club every month, so I'll be picking up some new pattern papers. I don't think there's much. There might be 6 to 10 pattern papers. And also another one of my goal is if I bring something new in my scrap room, I want to make sure that I use it pretty much right away. So more than likely in the next bit of page kits that I make, I'll probably, if I make 5 or 6 page kits, I'm going to make sure that I use some of those pattern papers to make some of the next page kits for my project 100. But what I'll probably try to do is, use some full pattern paper sheets, but mix in some scraps. But I would say 5 years ago, I was probably bringing in, 20 to 30 to 50 new pattern papers every month into my scrap room. And I haven't done that in the last, few years. So I don't really have a lot of newer pattern papers. But like I said, I am in love with the older stuff when I find it in my stash and it hasn't been used. So I don't mind at all using some of the older pattern papers and giving it a new appreciation. And maybe I would be able to get, different maybe color combos, but I actually kind of enjoy the color combos that I've been coming up with using the scraps. Maybe it's going to be different than what I normally would put together, but how else are you going to find something new that you're going to love if you're not willing to change it up just a little bit? So I started saying at the beginning, and I don't think I finished, but the last time that I had ordered pattern papers that were not Christmassy, because I did buy some Christmas pattern papers before Christmas, but before that, the last pattern papers that I bought was during Crop and Create last year in March. So it's not something that I buy a lot of because I have a lot in my scrap room, and you don't use as much pattern papers as you do embellishments. Pattern papers seem to last a whole lot longer. So I want to make sure that I get through my stash. But that's it. That's going to complete this layout. And I want to remind you that I'm having a winter blues sale over in my shop for all digital prints and all my classes, 50% off, and it's going to end on Sunday. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. If you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.